Today we'll be presenting on the European gypsy moth, which is an invasive species.
The European gypsy moth is native to Europe and was introduced to North America at Boston, Massachusetts in 1869 and has been spreading ever since. The United States Forest Service estimates the moth's range is spreading south and west at a rate of about 21 kilometers per year.
The European gypsy moth was imported to Massachusetts by Thoreau for silk production with the intent of finding a new species of silk-producing moth. Thoreau conducted breeding experiments with the goal of finding a species that could hybridize to compete with the silkworm moth but be less susceptible to various diseases. Unfortunately, several adult European gypsy moths escaped confinement and over time became established in his neighborhood and spread throughout the northeastern United States and beyond.
The ecology and life history of a gypsy moth. These gypsy moths feed on hardwood species, and a partial list includes red oak, cherries, willows, and hickories. Over 500 species of plants are known hosts, and their typical habitat is in forests or wooded areas. They have a holometabolous life cycle in which they undergo 4 developmental life stages such as the egg, the larvae, pupa, and the adult. Eggs are laid in August, and the embryo immediately starts developing during the warm days of summer, and in a month, the larvae are fully formed and ready to hatch. Before it starts to feed, the larvae disperse through the forest in a behavior called ballooning. And then the pupa is in the transformation stage, in which it is immobile and they pupate in areas such as ridges of bark under flaps of loose bark or cracks of rock. In about a week or two, the worm-like caterpillar has been transformed into a winged adult and ready to reproduce.
The European gypsy moth is an invasive species as well as a forest pest. The caterpillars and their large appetites cause severe defoliation as they feed on more than 300 species of trees and shrubs. This severe defoliation leaves trees susceptible to other stresses such as weather extremes or human activities. This leaves trees vulnerable to diseases and other pest infestations that can eventually kill the tree. The European gypsy moth plays a major role in indirect tree mortality, causing a danger to North America's forests. This results in major environmental, social, and economic impacts. Biological and chemical control are 2 control measures for the European gypsy moth.
Predation. The white-footed mouse is a species of rodent native to North America, which feed on the gypsy moth pupae, and sapsuckers are a genus of birds that feed on the European gypsy moth caterpillars. Both these animals are effective in their population control, but currently are not available in large enough numbers for widespread application, and there are some areas where the habitats do not overlap. Parasitic fungus. Entomophaga maiga is a species of parasitoid Japanese fungus. The fungus is effective at decreasing gypsy moth populations, both in high-density and low-density populations. Although the fungus is naturally dispersing through the American-European gypsy moth population, aerial dispersion can introduce it to specific sites of the gypsy moth pests. The fungus requires high rainfall and humidity to germinate and infect gypsy moth larvae, making its effectiveness in a given year subject to local weather conditions. Virus. LDMNPV is very effective in controlling high-density gypsy moth populations. LDNMPV is not effective in managing low-density gypsy moth populations due to transmission methods. Following population patterns, LDMPV creates cyclical outbreaks every 8 to 12 years. Chemical control. BTK is a naturally occurring soil bacterium, and when consumed, the bacterium is primarily toxic to Lepidoptera at both larval and adult stage. BTK is deemed safe on humans. Dimilin. Dimilin is a synthetic hormone that inhibits molting in larval stage, which leads to the eventual death of the organism without reaching maturity. Mimic. Mimic is another synthetic hormone which conversely induces premature molting, which leads to the immediate death of the organism. Mimic only affects Lepidopteran larvae. Disparler and Disrupt2. Disparler is a synthetic pheromone that tricks male gypsy moths to think that a mature female gypsy moth is nearby. Because of this type of mating disruption, it is only effective in low-density populations, where female gypsy moths are harder to find.